Beat around the world.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to our radio show Beat Around the Bush, the best radio show in the whole world. Sponsored by European Union and the Erasmus Plus project and CEI for European initiatives. And I just wanted to mention this is we are broadcasting from Stara Zagora, and of course we are a different, let's say, volunteering group to the other ones. As I learned from our organizer, there are some other, volunteering, let's say, organizations that as well do this. So I guess we have to make sure that we are different from them. So yeah, we are from Stara Zagora, and this is the show Beat Around the Bush. And today it is Monday, of course, quite a cold day, I would say, and I think that. Today, as it is Monday, of course, we have a rubric called "Keep on Rockin'," and it is my rubric, of course. Why am I saying this? But today we're going to speak about a very legendary rock group by the name of the Beatles. For me, the Beatles is a really great band. When I think of Beatles, I think of these guys in like suits and these very bowl cut hair hairlines, I guess, frisures. I mean haircuts. I think that when it comes to the Beatles, they are they were very influential on all the music that is around now, and they as well still their songs are being played on the radio daily. If you go on any of the rock FM channels, you would hear at some point their songs, as people really have beloved them, and that is the reason why it's still played. And I believe that it really shows that music has some sort of value if it still is being played. And of course, I think of the 60s. I think of I don't know. They actually very not the playing would be actually very not distorted. It would be very clean actually, and of course, I don't remember now all the members, but Paul McCartney, George Harrison, John Lennon, and and some other guys that I don't remember. I think that that is it. So. And today we're going to listen to a lot of great songs, because at that time, for some reason, one or another, their songs are actually not that long. They're around 2-3 minutes, so we will have a lot of songs to play, and they have a lot of great songs. Most of them are really big bangers. So, the Beatles were an English rock band formed in Liverpool 1960, with a lineup comprising of John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. Yes, of course, how could I forget about Ringo Starr, the drummer. They are often regarded as the most influential band of all time. The group were integral to the evolution of pop music into an art form and to the development of the countercultural culture of 1960s. Their sound, rooted in skiffle, beat, and 1950s rock and roll, incorporated elements of classical music and traditional pop in innovative ways. They also pioneered recording techniques and explored music styles ranging from ballads and Indian music to psychedelia and hard rock. And yes, I just want to mention that I believe that Beatles were the band that went through the sound change the most. They were around playing, and they were around the music scene for quite a long time, from not that long, 10 years. Here says 1960s till 1970s. Of course, when John Lennon got killed by an insane fan. I don't know who kills their idols, but I guess there is a shirt that says this, so I guess that's a thing for some people. And that is when it ended. But from this time, 1960s till 1970s, they changed so much because the sound, they started out by playing very like lovey-dovey songs. Then of course came the psychedelic times. Then one band, I don't remember the two. No, I don't remember the band, but one band said that, yeah, the Who said, "Oh, we just made the hardest song ever." And then the Beatles or Paul McCartney, he listened to it. He said, "Okay, yeah, this is a hard song." And then they made a song called Shelter, no, Helter Skelter, yeah, and that was at that time a really hard song. Some people say that this is like, oh yeah, like punk or maybe close to hard rock or something like this. And of course, then we had the famous serial killer who listened to this song Helter Skelter, and he thought that the song had some motives of revolution and stuff like this, and so yeah, quite interesting actually. Um, so as they continue to draw influences from a variety of cultural sources, their musical and lyrical sophistication grew, and they came to be seen as embodying the era's social cultural movements. Led by band's primary songwriter Lennon and McCartney, yes, the Beatles built their reputation playing clubs in Liverpool and Hamburg over a 3-year period from 1960s. Yeah, they played in Hamburg. When I first heard of this, I was very surprised. Initially, with Stuart Sutcliffe playing bass, and of course they had a lot of member changes before they stopped at these 4 guys. The core trio of Lennon, McCartney and Harrison, who had been together since 1958, went through a succession of drummers, including Pete Best, before asking Starr, that's Ringo Starr, to join them in 1962. Manager Brian Epstein molded them into a professional act, and producer George Martin guided and developed their recordings, greatly expanding their domestic success after their first hit Love Me Do in late 1962. So, as their popularity grew into the intense fan frenzy dubbed Beatlemania, the band acquired the nickname the Fab Four. Yeah, they were quite fabulous, with Epstein, Martin and other members of the band's entourage sometimes given the informal title of the Fifth Beatle. Yeah, that was like, if I do remember, that was one of the managers or like producers, but he had so much to do when it came to what they are gonna play and how they're gonna play, so yeah. And yeah, there was the time when this mania thing was real, and Beatlemania was a thing that really happened, and people were like, okay, mostly women, but also some men were like crazy about these guys. And after that, a lot of rock bands would say, oh yeah, this is now Guns N' Roses mania time, and then there was Nirvana mania and stuff like this, you know. So the Beatles were international stars by early 1964, leading the British invasion of the United States pop market and breaking numerous sales records. Yeah, there was a time in the 60s when Americans just somehow, well, they loved everything that had to do with rock, and the British, maybe it was the language or the way they sang, but it was really beloved by the American population. They soon made their film debut with A Hard Day's Night, and they had a film. From 1965 onwards, they produced increasingly innovative recordings, including the albums Rubber Soul, Revolver, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Yeah, I have listened actually to all of their albums, and yeah, the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was like this psychedelic one where they really experimented with all kinds of things, where they actually like put sound effects into songs, and you would not really say that it's like a song by our, well, nowadays standards, right? But they were still like, all the albums were really popular. And enjoyed further commercial success with the Beatles, also known as the White Album. Yeah, supposedly one of the best ones they had, and Abbey Road, which is the last one, I believe. In 1968, they founded Apple Corps, a multi-armed multimedia corporation that continues to oversee projects related to the band's legacy. After the group's breakup in 1970, all four members enjoyed success as solo artists. Yeah, I think I actually did not say it correctly. They originally broke up just because there was some sort of I guess some sort of a feud, or there was I remember a lot of people say that the dissolvement of the band has a lot to do with John Lennon and his fiancée Yoko, I guess, like this Japanese woman. So yeah, and yeah, they were very successful as solo artists as well. Lennon was shot and killed in December 1980, and Harrison died of lung cancer in November 2001. McCartney and Starr remain musically active. Yeah, they're old, but they still are doing what they love, and you can respect that. The Beatles are the best-selling band in history, with estimated sales of over 800 million albums worldwide. They are the best-selling music artists in the USA, with certified sales of over 183 million units, and have had more number one albums on the British charts, and have sold more singles in the UK than any other act. The group were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988, and all four main members were inducted individually between 1994 and 2015. In 2008, the group topped Billboard magazine's list of the all-time most successful artists. As of 2019, the Beatles hold the record for most number one hits on the Hot 100 chart with 20. The band has received 7 Grammy Awards, an Academy Award for Best Original Song, score for the 1970 film Let It Be, and I'm sure that the song as well is the song by Beatles, Let It Be, and 15 Ivor Novello Awards. They were also collectively included in Time magazine's compilation of the 20th century's 100 most influential people. Well, quite big achievements they have achieved, in my opinion, and they really molded the next music that's gonna be made. So here we can. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the formation and the starting years and Germany and stuff like this. In March 1957, John Lennon, then aged 16, formed a skiffle group with several friends from Quarry Bank High School in Liverpool. They briefly called themselves the Blackjacks before changing their name to the Quarrymen, after discovering that a respected local group was already using the other name. 15-year-old Paul McCartney joined them as a rhythm guitarist shortly after he and Lennon met that July. In February 1958, McCartney invited his friend George Harrison to watch the band. The 15-year-old auditioned for Lennon, impressing him with his playing, but Lennon initially thought Harrison was too young for the band. After a month of Harrison's persistence, during a second meeting arranged by McCartney, he performed the lead guitar part of the instrumental song Raunchy on the upper deck of a Liverpool bus, and they enlisted him as their lead guitarist. By January 1958, Lennon's Quarry Bank friends had left the group, and he began his studies at the Liverpool College of Art. The three guitarists, billing themselves at least 3 times as Johnny and the Moondogs, were playing rock and roll whenever they could find a drummer. Lennon's art school friend Stuart Sutcliffe, who had just sold one of his paintings and was persuaded to purchase a bass guitar, joined in January 1960, and it was he who suggested changing the band's name to Beatles. And at that time it was pronounced differently, as a tribute to Buddy Holly and the Crickets. They used his name until May, when they became the Silver Beatles, before undertaking a brief tour of Scotland as the backing group for pop singer and fellow Liverpudlian, that's how you say a person from Liverpool, Johnny Gentle. By early July they had refashioned themselves as the Silver Beatles, and by the middle of August shortened in the name to the Beatles. Good. Alan Williams, the Beatles' unofficial manager, arranged a residency for them in Hamburg, but lacking a full-time drummer, they auditioned and hired Pete Best in mid-August 1960. The band, now a five-piece, left 4 days later, contracted to club owner Bruno Koschmider for what would be a 3-month residency. Beatles historian Mark Levison writes, "They pulled into Hamburg at dusk on 17th of August, the time when the red light area comes to life. Flashing neon lights screamed out the various entertainment on offer, while scantily clad women sat unabashed in shop windows waiting for business opportunities." Yeah, in Germany they, just like in Amsterdam, they have like this red light district. It's a very big tourist attraction, I guess. Koschmider had converted a couple of strip clubs in the district into music venues, and he initially placed the Beatles at the Indra Club. After closing Indra due to noise complaints, he moved them to the Kaiserkeller in October. When he learned they had been performing at the rival Top 10 club in breach of their contract, he gave the band 1 month's termination notice, and reported the underage Harrison, who had obtained permission to stay in Hamburg by lying to the German authorities about his age. The authorities arranged for Harrison's deportation in late November. 1 week later, Koschmider had McCartney and Best arrested for arson after they set fire to a condom in a concrete corridor. What the hell were they doing? The authorities deported them. Lennon returned to Liverpool in early December, while Sutcliffe remained in Hamburg until late February with his German fiancée Astrid Kircher, who took the first semi-professional photos of the Beatles. Yeah, as you can see, a lot of the early history revolves around the city of Hamburg, and they actually played their first shows there, well, some of the few new ones. So, during the next 2 years, the Beatles were residents for periods in Hamburg, where they used prelude in both prelude in, I guess, some drug or something in it, both recreationally and to maintain their energy through all-night performances. In 1961, during their second Hamburg engagement, Kircher cut Sutcliffe's hair in the existentialist style, later adopted by the other Beatles. I guess that bowl cut that they had is an existentialist style. This I did not know, but now you guys know as well. When Sutcliffe decided to leave the band early that year and resume his art studies in Germany, McCartney took up the bass. Producer Beat Kempfert contracted that what was now a 4-piece group until June 1962, and he used them as Tony Sheridan's backing band on a series of recordings for Polyder Records. As part of the sessions, the Beatles were signed to Polyder for 1 year, credited to Tony Sheridan and the Beat Brothers. The single My Bunny, recorded in June 1961 and released 4 months later, reached number 32 on the Musikmarkt chart. After the Beatles completed their second Hamburg residency, they enjoyed increasing popularity in Liverpool with the growing Mercy Beat movement. However, they were also growing tired of the monotony of numerous appearances at the same clubs night after night. In November 1961, during one of the group's frequent performances at the Cavern Club, they encountered Brian Epstein, a local record store owner and music columnist. He later recalled, "I immediately liked what I heard. They were fresh and they were honest, and they had what I thought was sort of a presence, a star quality." Epstein courted the band over the next couple of months, and they appointed him as their manager in January 1962. Throughout early and mid-1962, Epstein sought to free the Beatles from their contractual obligations to Beat Kempfert Productions. He eventually negotiated a 1-month early release from their contract in exchange for one last recording session in Hamburg. Tragedy greeted them on their return to Germany in April, when a distraught Kircher met them at the airport with news of Sutcliffe's death in the previous day from what was later determined as a brain hemorrhage. Epstein began negotiations with record labels for a recording contract in order to secure a UK record contract. Epstein negotiated an early end to the band's contract with Polyder in exchange for more recordings backing Tony Sheridan. After their New Year's Day audition, Decca Records rejected the band with the comment, "Guitar groups are on the way out, Mr. Epstein." However, 3 months later, producer George Martin signed the Beatles to EMI's Parlophone label. So, here you can see that the starting was quite hectic and nobody just got everything that they wanted. They had difficulties getting signed, and so is the deal with most cases of bands. So, yeah, now we can talk about the years of when they were very popular. So, the Beatlemanian touring years. On 11 February 1963, the Beatles recorded 10 songs during a single studio session for their debut LP, Please Please Me. The album was supplemented by the 4 tracks already released on their first 2 singles. Martin originally considered recording the Beatles' debut LP live at the Cavern Club, but after deciding that the building's acoustics were inadequate, he elected to simulate a live album with minimal production in a single marathon session at Abbey Road. After the moderate success of Love Me Do, the single Please Please Me met with a more emphatic reception, released in January 1963, 2 months ahead of the album of the same name. The song reached number 1 on every UK chart except Record Retailer, where it peaked at number 2. Recalling how the Beatles rushed to deliver a debut album bashing out Please Please Me in a day, AllMusic's Stephen Thomas Erlewine comments, decades after its release, the album still sounds fresh, precisely because of its intense origins. Lennon said little thought went into composition at that time. He and McCartney were just writing songs in style of Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly, pop songs with no more thought of them than that, to create a sound, and the words were almost irrelevant. Wow, so you can see that Beatles and Nirvana and a lot of actual groups had something similar. They just came up with a melody and what they're gonna play, and then just put some words in the song that did not really have to make much sense. So, yeah, I think there is so much more to talk about when it comes to this band and stuff like that, but I think we can now listen to some more songs, because if I'll keep on reading and reading this stuff, it might not be as interesting because it's hard to, visualize it. So I think we can listen to some songs and understand what the Beatles was about, because of course the history of music is quite interesting, but the main thing why we listen to music is for the music. And so it's gonna give you a flavor and will help you understand it more. So here is actually, as I believe, here is a song, by the Beatles, "Don't Let Me Down." I believe that this song was, at least in the video, it was like one of their last recordings or something like this. So yeah, I won't have that many information or like facts like I usually do with hard rock and stuff like that, but I think you will enjoy it. Yeah, so here goes the song "Don't Let Me Down" by the Beatles. Hope you enjoy it. So that was the song "Don't Let Me Down" by the Beatles, and I did remember a little fact here. It is an interesting thing. They just this video clip was made on the top of a building. Yes, that's quite interesting. So now I would like to play a song as well by Beatles, and this was the story that I told you, where the Who made a song that they said was the hardest rock song at that time, and then Paul McCartney thought, okay, we're gonna make a harder one, and yeah, this is the song called the Helter Skelter, and yes, and the killer, I remember his name. He is Charles Manson, and he got inspired by this song. He thought that there were like these messages about some sort of a revolution, and it had something to do with racism and stuff like this. So yeah, but actually this song was just about Paul McCartney's or one of the members' uh, uh, times when they were going to an attraction park, and they went up and down and drove on the American the train track thingy. So yeah, here goes the song, Helter Skelter. Hope you enjoy it. It's gonna be a lot different than the one that I just played because this one is like harder. Yeah. Okay. Hope you enjoy. So that was Helter Skelter. And now I would like to play another much more different song. While playing the songs, I'm trying to show you the change of the sounds and what kind of variety they had, because they had quite a lot. So now I would like to play a song by the Beatles called with the name Strawberry Fields, and this is one of their more psychedelic songs, and you will surely hear it. Hope you enjoy it. So that was Strawberry Fields by the band The Beatles. Hope you enjoyed it. And now I'm gonna play one of their more lovey-dovey songs, the songs that they started out with. So here's a real classic from their first album, Love Me Do, and hope you enjoy it. So the Beatles with the song Penny Lane. This song is actually about a street in London, I think, or in Liverpool, one of those. So now we're gonna play another song by the name Help. Hope you enjoy. So that was While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and now we have as well a very famous song, and there is no way I could finish this show without playing it, of course. The song Hey Jude. There was actually a big controversy with this song, because one Jewish man, I guess from Germany, he called McCartney and told him, "Why are you singing songs about Jews?" Because the way it's written, "Hey Jude," is the same way that Germans would write Jude, which means a Jew. And then there was this kind of uh, remark that I can give you guys. So here is the song. Hope you enjoy it. So that was a live song by the Beatles with the song Hey Jude, and yeah, so as you saw, it was quite a long song indeed, and now it is the end, and I hope that you enjoyed the music and that you got some information about the startup and the first stages of the Beatles band. And yeah, at 3 p.m. we will have Lydie talk about football with her brother, so don't forget to tune in then at that time as well. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And of course, there were so many more songs that I wanted to guys to play for you, because they have so many good songs actually. And yeah, so thank you for listening, and see you next Monday. And remember, keep on rocking. See you guys.